Football stadiums aren't just places to watch a game. They hold memories, passion, and identity. Football is built on history, passion, and the roar of the crowd. But modernization hasn't always been kind. Some clubs lost their soul when they moved to sleek, corporate arenas. Today, we dive into 20 legendary UK football stadiums that were lost to time, replaced by soulless modern arenas. Let's get started. 20. Highbury, Arsenal. Highbury wasn't just a stadium. It was a temple of football. Arsenal's home for 93 years, with its iconic Art Deco design and marble halls, gave it a unique character. When Arsenal moved to the Emirates in 2006, they gained a bigger venue but lost the soul of Highbury. Fans now sit farther from the pitch, and the intimate atmosphere is gone. 19. Ayresome Park, Middlesbrough. Ayresome Park was Middlesbrough's fortress for nearly a century. A classic English ground with tight terraces and deafening noise, it hosted games during the 1966 World Cup. However, in 1995, it was replaced by the Riverside Stadium, a modern ground that, while larger, lacks the fierce character of Ayresome Park. 18. Baseball Ground, Derby County. Originally built for baseball, Derby County's baseball ground became one of England's most intimidating football stadiums. Its cramped stands and muddy pitch made it a nightmare for visiting teams. In 1997, Derby moved to Pride Park, a clean, corporate stadium that felt more like an office block than a football ground. The gritty, raw atmosphere of the baseball ground was lost forever. 17. Roker Park, Sunderland. Roker Park was the heartbeat of Sunderland football. It was so close to the North Sea that players could feel the icy winds. The Stadium of Light is bigger, but it lacks the sheer intimidation factor of Roker Park, where fans were so close they could almost touch the players. Sunderland lost not just a stadium, but a home. 16. The Dell, Southampton. The Dell was one of the quirkiest stadiums in England. Its tiny, asymmetrical stands put fans right on top of the action. Players could hear every shout from the crowd. But in 2001, Southampton moved to St. Mary's Stadium, a bigger but far less unique venue. The magic of the Dell was gone. 15. Ninian Park, Cardiff City. Ninian Park was a bare pit, a place where Cardiff's passionate fans made life miserable for visiting teams. The move to Cardiff City Stadium in 2009 brought modern comforts but lost the fearsome aura of Ninian Park. The terraces were replaced by seats, and the raw, hostile energy faded. 14. Goldstone Ground, Brighton and Hove Albion. The demolition of the Goldstone Ground in 1997 was a low point in Brighton's history. Forced out by poor ownership, Brighton wandered without a real home until 2011. The Amex Stadium is stunning, but fans still miss the Goldstone Ground's classic charm. 13. Leeds Road, Huddersfield Town. Leeds Road had an old-school feel, packed with history and memories of Huddersfield's dominance in the 1920s when they won 3 league titles in a row. In 1994, Huddersfield moved to John Smith Stadium. It's sleek and modern, with better facilities and a bigger capacity. But many argue it lacks the soul of Leeds Road. The intimacy was lost, and the new ground feels less like home. 12. Boothferry Park, Hull City. Hull City played here for over 50 years, through highs and lows. The Kempton Stand housed the most passionate fans, creating an intense matchday experience. By the 1990s, the ground was crumbling. In 2002, Hull City moved to the MKM Stadium, a state-of-the-art venue. While the new stadium is impressive, Boothferry Park had something unique. Its quirks, history, and character are irreplaceable. 11. Main Road, Manchester City. This wasn't just a stadium, it was an experience. City fans loved its raw energy. When City was at their best, Main Road shook. But by the early 2000s, it was outdated. City moved to the Etihad Stadium in 2003. While the new ground is modern and spacious, it lacks Main Road's charm. The atmosphere doesn't compare. 10. The Den, Millwall. The Old Den was one of the most feared stadiums in English football. Built in 1910, it was an intimidating fortress. Opposing teams dreaded stepping onto the pitch, and the noise from Millwall fans was deafening. But in 1993, it was replaced by the new Den, a safer but tamer version. While modern, It lacks the raw hostility that made the old Den a nightmare for visiting teams. 9. Victoria Ground, Stoke City. For 119 years, 1878 to 1997, Victoria Ground was home to Stoke City. It had an old-school charm, packed with fans standing close to the action. But in 1997, Stoke moved to the Bet365 Stadium. While the new ground has better facilities, it has never quite recaptured the legendary atmosphere of the Victoria Ground. 8. Upton Park. West Ham's move from Upton Park to the London Stadium in 2016 remains one of the most controversial in football history. Upton Park was a cauldron of noise, an intimidating ground that embodied the East End spirit. London Stadium? A soulless, athletics design venue with seats too far from the pitch. Many Hammers fans still mourn the loss of their true home. 7. Filbert Street. Leicester City's Filbert Street was a gritty, atmospheric stadium. Opened in 1891, it saw some of the Fox's greatest moments. But in 2002, Leicester moved to the King Power Stadium. While modern and spacious, it lacks the raw energy of Filbert Street. For older fans, the move was a necessary loss. 6. White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur. White Hart Lane was a tight, electric stadium. The stands were close to the pitch, creating an intense atmosphere. In 2017, Spurs demolished it for a £1 billion modern marvel. The new ground is impressive, but it doesn't replicate the closeness or intimidation of White Hart Lane. 5. Burned-In Park. As the home of Bolton Wanderers from 1895 to 1997, this stadium had an old-school magic. It was a tough place to visit, but the move to the Reebok Stadium, now University of Bolton Stadium, lost some of that spirit. Fans still reminisce about the glory days of Burned-In Park. 4. Springfield Park, Wigan Athletic. Springfield Park was where Wigan's rise began. It had character, charm, and a rough edge. In 1999, it made way for the DW Stadium, a more polished but less memorable home. Though modern, the DW never quite captured the essence of Springfield Park. 3. Elm Park, Reading. Elm Park was Reading's home for over 100 years. Opened in 1896, it had an old-world feel that fans adored. But in 1998, it was replaced by the Madejski Stadium. Functional but soulless, the new ground never truly replaced Elm Park's character. 2. Vetch Field, Swansea City. Vetch Field was pure Swansea. Opened in 1912, it was small, rough, and intimidating. Swans fans made it a fortress. In 2005, it was demolished for the modern Swansea.com Stadium. While an upgrade in every way, it lost the intimate, hostile feel that made Vetch Field unique. 1. Wembley Stadium, Old. The Twin Towers. The history. The magic of Old Wembley was unmatched. Built in 1923, it was home to some of football's greatest moments. But in 2003, it was demolished to make way for the new Wembley. Despite being world-class, the new stadium lacks the soul and sheer presence of the original. Outro. Modernization isn't always bad, but sometimes progress comes at a cost. These stadiums held memories, passion, and soul, something modern venues can struggle to replace. Sadly, modernization has robbed us of these legendary grounds. What do you think? Which stadium do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.